This is a video to help people who have never used WebWork whatsoever get a foothold. And I'll call this So You Want to Be a WebWork Instructor. At this point, I'm going to assume that you at least have a username and password generated by your WebWork administrator so that you can log in. When you do log in to WebWork, the first screen you hit is a screen that lists all the courses that have been established. Your course may or may not be established. If it's not, talk to your friendly WebWork coordinator or administrator and have them create your course. When a course is created, it will be pretty much empty. So I'm going to pick a class from this list at the very bottom that's been built but really doesn't have anything in it. No assignments or anything like that. Right now it's just a test bed for people that are creating WebWork problems. But you can see here in the main screen the left-hand menu, which drives everything. If there were homework sets active in this class, they would also be appearing on this front screen. And over on the right is a little hello you can give to your students by editing that course information file. There's a little edit button there. You can just edit it right in the screen when you click that button, like that. I'm going to go back to the front and not actually do that, but you can put whatever messaging to your class in that box that you would like. So over here on the left, as an instructor, there are only a small number of menu items to worry about if you're working at sort of just the regular no frills level. There's homework sets, which is essentially the home screen. It shows you all the live homework sets. User settings, I never touch. Grades is something a student would use to see what their scores are. Everything an instructor wants is under Instructor Tools. Some of them are fairly obvious. The first one is Classlist Editor. This is where you would upload your roster. This particular class doesn't have a roster uploaded. Now, to get your roster uploaded, I would recommend talking to your friendly WebWork coordinator, because there's two ways this can go. One is you have to learn for yourself the very specific roster file formatting that WebWork expects. Or your friendly WebWork coordinator can tell you, hey, if you give me an Excel file with your roster information organized in this fashion, then I will turn that into a roster file and upload it for you. So let's say that's been done. Then your class list editor is where you might go back. Let's say somebody adds your course late, and so you only need to add one person to the 20 or 30 that are already there. Well, that's what the add button is for. Say somebody was getting out of hand and you don't want them in your class anymore. That's what the delete button is for. And other than that, not a whole lot to do here. If you want to have a teaching assistant have access to WebWork with teaching assistant level permissions so that they can adjust scoring and things like that, and also have access to files and libraries, you would just add them as a student, and then once they are added, you would select one of these people and edit them like so. And over on the far right is the permission level, where you can select, are they a regular student, are they a TA, are they a professor. I would not recommend giving anyone admin permission, even yourself. The homework sets editor is where you will spend about half of your time if you're not designing problems for yourself. This is where you just create an assignment by giving it a name and setting up the parameters like the due dates and the points per problem and the number of attempts you want students to have for each problem. There's a whole different video that goes through all of that. I believe it's called WebWork 4, and this one will probably be WebWork 5, so they're sort of out of order, but what are we going to do? Library browser is where you go to select problems that you want to put into your homework sets, and again, this other video shows the mechanics of that. I personally don't use statistics or student progress very much, but once you're used to WebWork, if you want to poke around in there and see what tools are available, have at it. Scoring tools is another good one. Now this is empty because there's nothing going on in this class. But in a class that has assignments, this is where you're going to see a list on this screen of all the students in the class and the scores that they've generated on assignments. This little box up here will have a list of assignments so that you can select which ones you want to see the scores for. You can select all of them, you can select one or two, whatever grouping you want to do. And when you select your assignments that you want to see and click the blue button, it will put them on the screen, and it will also create a Excel file that you can download. This is just like the Blackboard gradebook, essentially. The File Manager is another place you may need to go to. Now, even in a course that hasn't been used for anything, there's a lot of clutter in here just because you copy templates of classes from other classes, and clutter tends to accumulate that way. So anything with a .pg extension is a file that's written specifically for use in WebWork. And anything that's just a name with a slash is a folder. And so, like I mentioned, this particular course right now is just a test bed. So a student TA is creating WebWork homework files. For each one of these is a specific problem, and these are the types of files that we get collected together in homework sets. So he's depositing his files here so that he can go to the library browser and fire them up and see what they look like. Again, go to the other video to see how to use the library browser. But in this file manager, unless you're creating files and uploading them yourself, you're not going to be doing a whole lot in here. And so there's really not a whole lot to worry about. Course configuration, also you may not need to worry about it. The only thing that, for example, we at Valpo need to do is to come here to the time zone and set it to America and Chicago, so that when you go to the homework sets editor and create a new assignment that you want due at 5 o'clock on Thursday, that 5 o'clock really ends up meaning 5 o'clock for us locally and not 4 o'clock for us locally, because the default happened to be Eastern Standard Time. And again, with more experience, you can possibly come in here and poke around and see what other tools there are. I'm going to switch over to a course that does have a whole lot of activity in it right now, just so you can see. So this is an online course that's going on this summer. Here's a whole bunch of homework sets and assignments that I've built for this class. So each one of these is a file that I have begun by going to the homework sets editor and creating it, and then going to the library browser, finding the problems that I want to assign by going through the directory structure. See the other video for those details. And boom, homework sets are made. Here's an example. This set happens to have 3 problems. You can click any problem and see what it looks like. If I go into the homework sets editor, I will see a whole lot more detail for this class now. There are some assignments that have come and gone, and so rather than have them cluttering up the front screen, there is a publish option for homework sets where you can hide them from the students so they're not cluttering up the front screen. But if I pick one that's still alive, here, let's say one about volumes of solids of revolution. This column here is the number of students out of the class it has been assigned to, which is all of them. There are 5 problems in it. I can click the 5. Now this isn't going to show the problems just yet, but this is the stuff you can edit as soon as you create the homework set, such as when it becomes available, when it closes, when the solutions, if they're written into the problems, become available. And then down here at the bottom, there's the details about each individual question, how many points it's worth, that's the weight, how many attempts the students get to get it right. You can go back here and make edits. Probably not a good idea to make edits after it's deployed, but I suppose you can. So when you become a WebWork instructor, get your account, log on here, find your course, go to it, type something for your students into the course info box. Make sure your roster is either going to get uploaded or that you're going to, by you, or you're going to have somebody do it for you so that you can populate this class with your students. And then go to the other video and see how to work the homework sets editor together with the library browser to create these homework sets, like I just showed you in the other class, to populate your own course. And then you use the scoring tools option to see how the students are doing, export their data into comma-separated Excel files, and go nuts with that data.